Recording in progress.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. In a few minutes, or in a few seconds, I'll have Attorney Crump get us started. But I did want to give all of our friends in the media a little bit of a heads up about how we'll be doing Q&A today. So at the end of the speaking portion, I'll be taking questions from the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So if you have questions, please click on that button and type in your questions and include the media outlet that you're with, and then we'll do our best to get to all of them. If we can't get to your question, please send them to press@bencrump.com and we'll do our best to get all of your answers. Attorney Crump, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with my co-counsel and fraternity brother, Attorney Lee Merritt. We are honored to represent Ms. Wanda Cooper, the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, and Mr. Arbery, the father of Ahmaud Arbery. And we are going to make some brief comments on the landmark decision made by the Georgia Attorney General, Chris Carr, and then we will take your questions. My statement is very straightforward and consistent. The path to justice for Ahmaud Arbery and his family has been a long and arduous one, but the indictment is yet another step in the right direction. Former DA Johnson may not have pulled the trigger on the day Ahmaud was murdered, but she played a starring role in the cover-up. Ahmaud was stalked, gunned down, and his killers were allowed to freely walk the streets for months. And why? Because DA Johnson wanted to protect one of Ahmaud's killers, former police officer Gregory McMichael. While nothing will bring Ahmaud back, we can make sure his death was not in vain. The indictment sends a clear message to those in law enforcement and in the justice system whose actions and ethics fail to meet the standards of their office. Corruption, evil, racism, and hate have no place here. We demand the former DA Johnson be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law without leniency. Now you will hear from Attorney Lee Merritt.
Thank you, Brother Ben Crump. This historic decision by the grand jury in South Georgia at the behest of the Attorney General, General Carr, we hope will send ripple effects throughout the legal community. Ahmaud Arbery's murder was a tipping point in this nation for addressing the issue of not only violence and racism, but systemic racism that exists within our legal system. The systemic nature of the crime against Ahmaud was amplified by the district attorney, Jackie Johnson, playing a direct role herself and instructing law enforcement not to make the arrest of the men responsible for Ahmaud's murder, coordinating with other prosecutors in the region, specifically Mr. George Barnhill, to ensure that Ahmaud's family were denied answers and access to information, and to ensure that this case remained encumbered in a legal process that tends to lend itself or bend in favor of law enforcement. It is important that as we go about seeking justice for families, that we don't continue the myth, the narrative, that it's the responsibility of a lone wolf, a bad actor, when we see these national tragedies. But during the unique year in this country, a movement year of 2020, the reason Ahmaud Arbery's case stood out is because the family of Ahmaud, his mother and father, and the community demanded accountability not only for Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, and William Bryan, or Roddy Bryan, but also for those elected officials who were responsible for ensuring a thorough and adequate investigation and accountability. Often in these cases, those prosecutors who interfere with access to justice for families are given a free pass to continue prosecutorial misconduct and to continue in their office. But the people of Georgia sent a clear mandate, and not only in removing Jackie Johnson from office in the most recent election, but then following that up to say that she would have to be held accountable for her violations to her oath of office, that she would have to be held accountable for her violation of Ahmaud Arbery's family and denying them justice and denying our community justice for over 72 days. We are extremely grateful for the diligent work of the grand jury in this case. And it's important to note what General Carr said. The investigation is ongoing, and we will continue to seek accountability at every level for people because of their actions or inactions who have denied Ahmaud Arbery's family's justice. We are thankful for the ongoing federal prosecutions in this case of each of the men involved. We are grateful for the state level prosecution and the trial that starts just next month. And we are looking forward to criminal accountability, both for Jackie Johnson and for additional presentations to the grand jury. And we are holding out for accountability for the criminal misconduct of George Barnhill as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Merritt. And now we will hear from the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, Ms. Wanda Cooper.
I'm very thankful that we got the indictment on Ms. Johnson on yesterday. I appreciate the hard work from the Attorney General Carr. He kept in close contact with me, and he assured me that we would bring Ms. Johnson to justice. Yesterday was a very huge win. I'm speechless, you know. Unfortunately, Ahmaud is not here with us today, but me losing Ahmaud, it will change some things here in the state of Georgia. And I'm just very thankful. I appreciate all the hard work from the state, from the Cobb County DAs, and from the federal, Ms. Lyons. I mean, I just appreciate everyone who has come in to help our family.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. And finally, we will hear from Ahmaud's father, Mr. Marcus Arbery.
Well, I'm just very grateful, you know, that the justice system are doing their job, and I'm thanking God for Chris Carr, because he called me daily and talked to me about what's going on, and he a man of his word. And I'm just so grateful because, you know, everybody that had their hand on his death need to be brought to justice, and the system's showing that, the federal system's showing that they're bringing all these people to justice that had something to do with his death. Because the way he died, it just really devastated my family. I'm still struggling with it every day as a father, because, you know, it's my job to protect my children. And God knows I do that. You know, I'm still hurt because all I got is pictures to look at him, and every morning I get up, I look at his pictures. I'm saddened by it. And I really know what his mama going through, because she's the mama. You know, if it hurting the dad, I know what the mama going through. And I think about my children, the other two. My son, the older one, he's struggling with it too every day. When he talk to me, he just really don't want to talk about it. But, you know, as a father, I got to give him the best advice I can give. But I'm really thinking what done happened to everybody that had their hand on the way they killed him. I'm just wanting them to be brought to justice, because there ain't no man or woman above that law. And it was a great day when they arrested Jackie Johnson, brought charges on her. Real great day.
Thank you, Mr. Arbery. And now we will take some of your questions and continue to keep you updated as we continue this journey for justice in the name of Ahmaud Arbery.
So just a reminder, please type your questions at the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So we'll start with Kaylee from First Coast News out of Jacksonville. The question is for both parents. Part of the indictment reads, Johnson failed to treat Ahmaud Arbery and his family fairly and with dignity. What was your reaction reading that?
I think that statement was true. They failed. They not only failed Ahmaud, but they failed the entire family. I mean, very true statement.
Mr. Arbery, do you concur? You have anything else to add to that?
Yes, the mama spoke big. They did fail our family. You know what I'm saying? They failed to give us the proper justice that we deserve. You know, and it's bad because Black people been treated bad too long, and it just ain't right. You know, I just can't understand it. You know, you got to I don't care who you is, you got to let them know that they ain't above the law. You know what I'm saying? Everybody
sir.
got to pay for the accountability when they do wrong. You know, and it's been a long time coming. It's time out for it. You know, it take my son to die for people to really see what was going on. You know, and it should not be like that. You know, do the law right. You know,
Yes,
do
sir.
everybody right. You
Yes,
break
sir.
the law, let everybody pay the same way.
Yes, sir. Mr. Merritt, would you like to add something to that?
No, I think the parents have sufficiently responded.
Kelly, next question.
Sure. So we have Patricia from the Coastal Courier. How soon do you think Barnhill will be indicted?
Mr. Merritt, won't you take that one there?
While we don't have a concrete timeline for the indictment of George Barnhill, we certainly see that as the next step in accountability down the pipeline. Mr. Barnhill specifically sent letters to the Attorney General's office characterizing the facts of what happened in a way that was just inconsistent with the video evidence, the physical evidence from the scene. Jackie Johnson was indicted in part for violating the duties of her office. George Barnhill withheld material information, first, namely that Jackie Johnson came to him and consulted with him about the case of Ahmaud Arbery from day one, that they enjoyed a close personal relationship, and that he began to advise her about ways her friend and former employee, Gregory McMichael, could avoid accountability along with his family. Despite being referenced and being advising Jackie Johnson on ways that she can shirk the law, he accepted the responsibility of taking over the investigation, knowing that he had a dog in a fight, knowing that his son actually worked directly with Gregory McMichael and worked for Jackie Johnson in her DA's office. All of these clear conflicts showed up in his characterization of the facts and the evidence that was sent in writing over to the Attorney General Carr. And Attorney General Carr took that misrepresentation and allowed this case to go on unaccounted for far too long. And it's important, it was a torturous time for this family. That 72-day period with no arrest and no accountability was emotionally draining to the family. It sent ripple effects of the lack of accountability and protection to the Black community all throughout South Georgia and all throughout the country. And it's important that those who are responsible are held criminally accountable, but we don't have a concrete timeline on when that's going to take place. I'll say this last thing: as long as the grand jury is convened, which we know that it currently is, evidence can continue to come back and forth. Mr. Carr's office has been in contact with not only our office, because we filed a parallel civil suit against George Barnhill and Jackie Johnson, laying out exactly their misconduct that's reflected in this most recent indictment, but they have also been working with Kristen Clark over at the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, and at the working with state prosecutors to ensure that they have all the access that they need to get the facts before the grand jury to determine criminal accountability for the prosecutors involved.
I would simply say in conclusion that it seems to lend itself to some conspiracy between Jackie Johnson and Greg Barnhart, and that is something that has to be answered. The Department of Justice has assured us that they're reviewing everything on top of what the Attorney General of Georgia, Chris Carr, is doing. And that's very important because, as both the parents and Attorney Merritt said, far too often district attorneys have put their fingers on the scales of justice when you have Black victims killed by white hands. What we are asking for is that Ahmaud Arbery set a precedent that prosecutors now have to bear responsibility for the injustices on top of the tragedies where we see far too many of our children taken away from us without any accountability. And so we look forward to making sure that Barnhart is also investigated thoroughly, and we have justice for this family on all levels. Ms. Corker.
Sure. Haley was CBS 46 in Atlanta. What part of the indictment stands out to you most? What parts serve as vindication to your stance on Johnson's conduct from the beginning?
Ms. Cooper, Ms. Arbery, is there any particular part that is most important to you all?
Actually, the entire indictment is very, very important. The wording where they stated, not to the exact, that they didn't give Ahmaud, and not only the family, they didn't treat us with dignity. And that really said a lot, because they didn't. I mean, Ahmaud was killed. There were 72 days, like Attorney Merritt said earlier, that there was no arrest. And I mean, and at the same time, Ahmaud was killed, and nothing was done.
I'm sorry. I will add to that statement. In the language of the indictment, in the particular section where she was charged with violating her oath of office.
It's 11 o'clock.
Where she was charged with violating her oath of office, and specifically violating the public trust. The prosecutor for a region is responsible for ensuring